Today we're looking at prayer, understanding prayer, and it's everything I say today you've heard me say before, but I need to keep repeating it to myself to remind myself of what we have available to us in terms of our spiritual abilities and resources, and just kind of keep things in perspective. And we are, of course, entering we're in the Thanksgiving season coming up Thursday, and then Advent begins. We'll start that the following week. So I'm kind of combining these two things because they really go together well, at least the way I'm presenting them. I've said that that God has four qualities of life, love, power, and intelligence. And these four qualities are our personal resources. And what that means is we have these powers, these elements, these qualities of God with us all the time. And we have the ability to turn away from them or to turn them on or turn them in any direction that we want to illuminate. And that is what prayer is. We do that through the practice of prayer. I also said we have 5 executive faculties. That is the imagination, faith, judgment, will, and elimination. And why would I call these faculties? Why would I call these executive faculties? Because we all have faith. It's a faculty, but we decide how we're going to direct it. We either have faith in the greater good unfolding, or we have faith in things getting worse. Either way, we have faith. It's a faculty that we choose to execute in the way that we want to execute it. And this is often a knee-jerk reaction. It's not something that we are conscious of when our faith suddenly is not in the greater good, it's in the greater bad. So we can stop ourselves. And what about imagination? You can imagine yourself as whole, happy, healthy, and free, or you can say, I'm not doing so hot. And you can have all kinds of visions about yourself that do not line up with what is true of the soul. And we do this all the time. It's a knee-jerk reaction. So we choose how we use our imagination. That's why it's an executive faculty. And will. We can will ourselves into misery. We can will ourselves into freedom. It's a faculty that we choose how we're going to use. So that's an executive faculty. Judgment. We're not supposed to judge, we're told. Well, we're never really told that. We've come to believe that judgment is not a good thing, but it's one of our faculties. And Jesus didn't say, let's not use judgment. He said, let's judge righteously, correctly. So he said, judge not by appearances, according to appearances. And how do we often judge? How do we often exercise our faculty of judgment? We're not forced to judge by appearances, but we often do. It's kind of our standard. We look out at the world and see what's going on to see how we're going to feel, to see how we're going to think that day or that moment. And then elimination. You can let go of the negative energy that you might be holding about someone or something, but you don't have to. That's a decision that you and I make. So it's a faculty, it's an executive faculty, one we choose to use. So when we're thinking about prayer, prayer falls in the category or in the arena of these faculties, of these executive faculties. Prayer is a conscious choice on how to use them. And today we're going to go through each of the four resources. And this is not I hope it's not confusing, because it's really not. When we say God is life, love, power, and intelligence, we're saying that universal energy that is these things, that expresses in these ways, expresses as the soul. So what that means is that we all are in permanent possession of life, love, power, and intelligence. How are we using our faculties to manipulate these powers, these elements? That's the question. Prayer, when it is done properly, is a conscious utilization of these faculties concerning these different areas. So it's a lot simpler than I'm making it sound here, I think. But just as our introduction, this Thursday we celebrate Thanksgiving, and then we begin our first of 4 lessons in Advent with our focus on the 4 aspects of God: life, love, power, and intelligence. These attributes also express as the soul and should be thought of as our spiritual resources. Through prayer, and particularly a prayer of thanksgiving, we direct these resources in ways that are specific to our needs. Okay, we all are expressions of God, and the question would arise, say, from an atheist. If you're an expression of God, why does your life stink? Why is it not working so well? If you're an expression of God, wouldn't it make sense that everything would always work perfectly? If, that's how you think of God. And as Emily Cady points out, we're not robots. We're not given a mind that is controlled by deity. We're given a mind that is absolutely creative. We can use it in any way we want. But we have to pay the price for that. We're either in harmony with the way the soul is unfolding and expressing, or we're out of harmony with it. And when we have areas of our life that are not working so well, and that we're reacting to, and that's really the main thing, is how we're handling it. We can call upon these 4 resources: life, love, power, and intelligence, through prayer, to bring order to this area that we're talking about. And the area we're talking about primarily, always, I should say, is what's going on inside of us. Our thoughts and our feelings. That's the world we live in. When Jesus said that my kingdom is not of this world, or that the world he's speaking about is not this world of appearances, he's talking about the world of consciousness where we live. This is the quality of life that we're having. If you're having what you would call a bad day, where is that day? Where is that happening? Where is that experience? Because if you're having a bad day, and it really is a bad day, then wouldn't everybody be having a bad day because you're having one? But what if you meet somebody that's not having a bad day? They're having a great day, and it makes you angry because they're having such a great day. Where is the day that we're having? Where does this day exist? That's the whole essence of the spiritual teaching. Where is our life happening? Where is our life happening? It's not happening out there someplace, because what is happening in our life that's making us have a bad day, making us feel like we should have a bad day, is not happening to everyone. So we would have to say that my bad day is my bad day and nobody else's. Now, we may share some common ideas that are not so uplifting to us. Several of us may view a thing and not be having a good reaction to it. But that's a collective bad day. It's still not a universal bad day. It's not something that affects everyone. So that's where we have to think when we think of prayer. What is it we're trying to alter when we pray? We're trying to get God to make us or to allow us to have a good day. But what if the thing we're asking for that'll make us have a good day makes somebody else have a bad day? What if the thing that we want that will make us be peaceful and happy makes somebody else sad or angry? So we're not really talking about circumstances. We're talking about how we deal with them, how we react to them, the experience we have as the result of them. Are we judging by appearance? In other words, am I sad because this thing is going on? And if so, what can be done about it? Maybe I can't change that thing, but is there a way to change what's going on inside of me? And see, that takes a lot of courage to be able to even admit that that's possible, because we're so used to focusing on things, on circumstances. But life is always going to give us circumstances that challenge our right to be happy, our right to be peaceful. That's one thing I like about the teachings of non-dualism, is it recognizes there's only one thing going on, and that is God. But what bothers me about that teaching is it becomes so wordy in explaining how do you adjust yourself to that. It's kind of hard to explain it, but one of the best teachers in that field is Rupert Spiro. If you'll do a search on him, you'll find many talks that he gives online. Very enlightened soul. Another one is that I like is Mooji. He's a British fellow, but he takes on quite an Eastern persona, I guess. And he will speak for 3 hours answering people's questions about how to live in the present, how to be aware of when your mind is running rampant and causing a lot of grief in your life. He's an interesting character. I enjoy listening to him for about 3 hours, and that's enough for a couple weeks. But what we don't want to do is get to the point where, like Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science, said, you can't have a headache because in truth you don't have a head. So we don't want to be that absolute, because when I have a headache, not even Mary Baker Eddy could convince me otherwise. You know, it's part of who we are, what we are. It's part of our equipment. It breaks down once in a while. So we don't want to live from that absolute of a place. But we also don't want to make so many excuses that we're always in that place of suffering and reaction, and the quality of our life is just not good because of all of the emotional roller coaster ride we're on all the time. So if you've got some area of your life that needs more life, say, we can turn this resource of life on that area specifically. If we need to breathe the breath of life into some area of our experience, release all feelings that this area of life is not working. Okay, that is a big step right there. when you're having a negative reaction to some area of your life, you're saying it's not working. That's why I'm having this negative reaction. So can we stop that reaction for a time and stop declaring that it's not working? Can we stop using that language? You know, that's the courage it takes on the spiritual path. If we need to breathe the breath of life into some area of our experience, release all feelings that this area of our life is not working, vigorously and steadfastly affirm and give thanks that the life of God is now expressing in beautiful and prospering ways, that there's a perfect flow of new ideas and enlivening enthusiasm that now clears the way for a more wholesome and satisfying experience. So if you've got something going on and you just turn your mind to a more positive approach, breathe the breath of life, new life. I know what this looks like, but I say, let there be life, new life. I affirm that. Just by making that change of thinking, you feel better. You start feeling better immediately, because your mind has been down at a level where you can't see anything above the problem. But when you start speaking words that are more in harmony with the solution than the problem, you start raising the quality of your experience right now. So you start with this idea that I have all the life I need. I'm not lacking this energy of life. And how does life manifest through us? It manifests as enthusiasm. We say somebody who is enthusiastic is full of life. So can you begin to generate or allow yourself to generate enthusiasm about this area of life rather than having a negative reaction to it? Are you willing to let yourself do that? You don't have to know the answer to start becoming enthusiastic about possibilities unfolding, things I can't see, things I may not even understand at this point. But life expresses as enthusiasm, so you know things are working when you begin to get more enthusiastic about your life. You know you're breathing the breath of life, into a situation. If you know somebody that's struggling, you're praying for a family member, begin to get enthusiastic about their healing, about their working out of whatever problem they're having. See them stepping on a new path, new things happening, and get enthusiastic about that vision. Allow yourself to express more life about them. Just know that you have this infinite resource of life. How are you using it? How am I using it? How am I directing it? So we're consciously directing it in this way. So now it's love. We bring a consciousness of love into our prayer life by knowing, in an attitude of gratitude, that which is not for our highest good is now being dissolved, and the greater good we desire is now being established. Love is the very process of denial and affirmation. Affirm that love is doing its perfect work in you and in your life right now. So think about that. You've got a situation, you don't know what's happening, you don't feel good about it, not sure. Begin to say that love is dissolving the things that are not working, the things that are not for your highest good, and attracting the things that are. Let's make a shift in the way you're thinking about it. It's not you that's trying to dissolve it or trying to draw to you. It's this infinite resource of love. It is dissolving that which is not for your highest good. Well, what if you think it's dissolving something that you want to keep, that you want to hang on to? That's the challenge. Most of us don't want to let go of a thing that we're hanging on to, not necessarily because it serves us, but because we think it does. It serves a certain level of us, and it probably serves the level that's strapped to the ground, that's strapped to the appearance. So am I willing to rise above that? Am I willing to let love carry me above that? And to know, not just say, but to know that that which is working against me is being dissolved. That which is working against the highest good is now being dissolved, and that which is working for my greatest good is being drawn to me. So that's prayer from love. It's not trying to be loving. It's not trying to overcome feelings of resentment or anything else. Although we have those kinds of feelings, probably because we're hanging on to something that we need to let go. But don't even try to figure that out. To just hold on to this idea that love is doing the work. Love is doing its perfect work in me now, and I'm willing to let it happen. I'm willing to let go and let love do its perfect work. Power and gratitude. Spiritual power is spiritual empowerment. Release all feelings of powerlessness and affirm the power of Spirit is now doing its mighty work in you. Give thanks that you are fearless and free to move forward in your thinking, to open your mind to new possibilities now unfolding. In our support groups, we affirm our powerlessness. And what that is focusing on is the powerlessness of the personal identity, the ego, self-image. That part of us that has been trying to control life, every aspect of life. So it is good to affirm that side of us is powerless. It's ineffective. It's not what we're after. That's not the level we're talking about. You are a spiritual being that is made up of power. You are full of power. You are an expression of power. You are never without power. You may be directing it in a direction that's not working so well. But you are never powerless as a spiritual being. That's part of your essence, part of your nature is power. And so to feel empowered is to move into that state of mind that knows everything's working out. Everything's in divine order. Every step you take is the right step. You're empowered to live in the here and now, free of fear, free of guilt, free of anger, free of all the limitations that tend to keep our experience bottled up in a very limited way. So in this regard, we are never powerless. We affirm that power is one of our resources, and it is endless. And how does power manifest through us? It manifests as strength. And that strength can be strength of faith. Where's your faith? Do you have the power to keep your faith pointed in the right direction? You do. It's strength. It could be physical strength. Maybe you say, I'm so tired I cannot take another step. But you begin affirming the power of Spirit working through you, and you'll find new strength. You ever heard of the second wind? That's what that is. Have you ever been so beat in your life that you didn't feel you could take another step, and then you got your second wind? Where does that come from? It comes from a resource we forget we have. It's a pretty interesting thing to observe. I think everybody probably has experienced that. You just don't think you can take one more step, and yet you take 50 more. Because you are always filled with power. But when we are draining that power, when we're focusing on in areas where we're actually draining it, that's when we feel powerless. And again, we're not talking about ego here. Intelligence and gratitude. Cease all talk and thought about not knowing what to do. Give thanks that the very intelligence of God is guiding you in all ways, that you know what to do and you do it. Divine intelligence is a tremendous resource that is always available and ready to respond to your affirmative attitude. It's kind of interesting. We're going through this sale process, and there are dates where things are due and we have to get them in and all of that. And I was ordained a minister, not a real estate attorney. And yet a lot of this stuff falls in my lap, just due to the time and place and whatever. So I find myself affirming more often than I should, I don't know what to do. So we have hired an attorney, and I do ask that attorney what I'm supposed to do. That attorney takes the place of God once in a while. But that's an interesting thing, because literally I don't know what to do. And so I start having this reaction, and it's a fear-based reaction. Because I don't know what to do, the universe is going to explode. But what I find is if I wait for a time, either I will reread a line and know what to do, know what it means, or I'll call the attorney and she'll tell me what it means or what to do. And it's resolved. It's like 1 minute you could be having a very dreadful experience emotionally, a reaction. It doesn't take a whole lot to change that, which illustrates how weak of a state of mind that really is. We have to have all the facts on the table before we can feel peaceful. And I'm no different than anyone else in that regard. I want to have all the facts on the table. I want to know exactly what I am supposed to be doing and when and how and all of the things that are involved there. But I find that's not always possible. So does that mean I'm going to have a horrible experience as the result? Sometimes I do. But it's a good illustration. It's a good teacher, a good reminder, because it's so easy to get rid of that, to overcome that. That is the thing that's powerless. I'm here and it's gone, when it's resolved. And I've never had one yet that has not been resolved. Every problem I've ever had has been resolved. There are ongoing problems, ongoing concerns, and I can make the choice to start thinking about those things and thinking about how I don't know what to do, or I can cease all that talk and all that thought and know that there's something in me that does know, and that something is unfolding right now. And if I don't know the answer to whatever the question is at this very moment, that I will shortly. Or somebody will. Something will happen where that issue will be resolved. It's just so many of our problems that we have are just reactions. And they're habitual reactions. We're so used to reacting that way that we think that's normal. And that becomes the quality of our life. So during this Thanksgiving and Advent season, let us not look back to the past. And I'm talking about the Advent is the whole birth and the coming of our Savior and all. During this Thanksgiving and Advent season, let us not look back to the past and simply tell the same old story. With a grateful heart, let us turn to God now, drawing upon our limitless resources of life, love, power, and intelligence to stir new possibilities. Okay?
3, 4. What am I doing here? What do I really fear? What do I want to know? What am I letting go? I kept holding on. The dark clouds and tears that always drug my spirit down. I hung on to hard times and chased love away. I'm not being grateful and not willing to change. And letting go is all I ever needed to do. Letting go, and the light of creation comes shining through. Letting go of old answers and learning to dance here. Finding a way to let care slip away. Living this moment, letting go. Letting go. Letting go. Letting go. Letting go. What am I trying to find? Just the right place and time. Will that bring me peace of mind? Can I just let my heart fly high? It's been real hard for me to see through this dream. Thought I knew it all, things not what they seem. I thought I was locked up while I was still free. Wrapped myself in chains, didn't realize I held the key. Letting go is all I ever needed to do. Letting go, and the light of creation comes shining through. Letting go of old answers and learning to dance here. Finding a way to let care slip away. Living this moment, letting go. Letting go. Letting go. Letting go. Letting go. What do you do here? What do you really fear? What do you want to know? What are you letting go?
You've been watching a talk given by Reverend Doug Bottorff here at Independent Unity in beautiful Grand Junction, Colorado. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us spread our message. If you would like to support us, you can do so by clicking the button in the right-hand corner of the video screen. We greatly appreciate your support. Thanks again for watching.